Hi, I'm Sam.
You're Sam?
Yeah, I'm not lying. I swear, I have an ID.
Cliff, have her removed.
My question is, if you could redo any episode, what would it be and why?
I would love... No, I love that. I love that. No, I wouldn't. I don't ever want to do bugs again.
That would be like number 220 on the list of episodes I want to do.
I would love to redo the pilot. Not because I think the pilot's bad, but I would just love to go relive it. Like, relive that story, knowing about Sam now, what I know, I wish I had known about Sam then. I feel like those earlier episodes, the pilot was so cool, and it was a, what, 18-day shoot? Like, we really kind of got into it, got into the characters, and got into the lore, and it was so seminal. I mean, obviously it was our pilot. So I think the pilot is what sticks out. It's pilot or swan song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We just shot.
That can't be redone.
Yeah, that needs to live in infamy. We just shot in the parking lot where Eye of the Tiger happened, and we were all like, "Huh? Oh yeah." So.
Dead Man's Blood?
Dead Man's Blood? Is that like the second to last episode of season 1?
Where John and the boys are hunting a vampire
Yeah, Dead
nest?
Man's Blood.
I'd like to do that again.
That was a lot of fun.
That was because the 3 Winchesters together hunting.
Thank you.
In that case, we are really not the loose Chesters.
Doing your eyebrows up and down doesn't make it better.
Yes, it does.
It kind of does.
Yeah. What would you want us to redo?
I don't know. I mean, I like them all. I mean, there's some parts where I would definitely love if they ended differently, or if they just had a different part. But
You don't have to be PC. Tell us.
I don't know. Like off the top of my head. I would have changed.
Well, you didn't say we could rewrite it. I thought you were I don't want to kill Charlie again.
Well, I
That was
said you
sad.
could redo the entire episode.
Oh, well, now that brings up a whole... I see. So you can rewrite the episode. I thought you just meant...
I would refilm the exact same script.
No.
Oh, well, that totally changes my answer.
Change your answer.
Then yeah, bugs.
Yeah.
I'd love to wipe that memory out.
Bugs is now a story about Sam and Dean flying to Hawaii. And swap mosquitoes. It's like, give me some more off. Get my back. Just kidding. Yes.
I got your back.
Thank you. I know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Becky.
Hi, Becky.
No jokes about the superfan, please.
Wait, Sam? Becky, that's Sam over there.
I know. So, I actually grew up near where the Lizzie Borden murders took place and everything. So growing up, we had that rhyme, Lizzie Borden.
Where
took an
were
axe.
you the day Lizzie Borden's parents were axe murdered?
That was way before my time. I'm not that old. I'm actually a couple months younger than Jensen, so I'm not that.
You're not 100 years old? I know that.
But growing up, we always had that rhyme, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks, and when she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. And so growing up, that was always I had nightmares about it. So I'm just curious, when I saw you guys were doing Thin Lizzy, I actually was almost afraid to watch it. But I want to know, what did you guys know about it before you started filming it? Did you know anything about the lore and what happened?
I knew the basic. I knew that rhyme. I knew she was accused of killing her parents, and I knew that she shared a birthday with somebody named Jared Padalecki. So be careful. Yeah, that's what I knew.
Same. I knew general the gist of it, and but yeah, it was kind of cool. They actually brought in a whole bunch of
Actual stuff.
set deck from the Lizzie Borden place because they have all those trinkets and stuff. So.
And then some people from the actual Bed and Breakfast Museum were like, hey, if y'all want to come up, we'll shut it down for y'all. Y'all can stay where y'all want, we'll shut it down. So if we make it to
we're all
Fall River,
going.
yeah.
I've always been afraid to stay there, but if you guys are staying there, I'll stay there too, so.
Yeah, we got your back. My wife said she's afraid to stay there, so.
We just stayed recently in a very old army barracks hotel. It's a hotel now, but it used to be an old army barracks. And it was like old. And we walked in and Danielle had gone in first. I was unloading the car. And she comes walking out. And she's like, "It's haunted. It's haunted. It's haunted. It's haunted." And I'm like, "Do I need to go inside?" She's like, "Go. I'm telling you, it's haunted." And so I go walking inside, and it's creaky and old, and it has that old musty smell. And I'm like,
You're blaming the must, aren't you?
yeah, it probably is. It's a good thing you got me.
Thanks, guys. Love ya.
Thank you, love to be back.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Welcome to Denver.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you guys, I'm a grandma, and my kids are about the same age as your kids are, and I wanted to know if you guys growing up had any holiday traditions that you're now passing on to your kids?
That's a great question. I don't know if we had any specific holiday traditions. We would open presents on Christmas Eve. We'd always have little smokies, little smoky sausages. And tamales. We would always eat tamales. And we would always eat Thanksgiving early so that we could sit with full bellies in front of the Cowboys game. That's probably it. That's a tradition though. Keep going.
Yeah, your general traditions, I think, during the holidays we'll do, but it's interesting, since we have a daughter, we're now starting to come up with our own traditions that we want to kind of establish. And of course, she's got some she's bringing it from her family, I've got some from mine. Recipes are the big thing with her. Her family they're a big cooking family. And me, I don't know. You know what? I decorate the tree. That's all me. And get out of my space. It's me and a big old tree. That's all. It takes me all night. But
Clark Griswold.
what's that?
Clark Griswold.
I am a modern day Clark Griswold. And I'm proud of it because that's what my dad was. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
What's the most awkward scene you've ever had to act out on Supernatural?
Jensen and Jared being Sam and Dean, being Jensen and Jared being Sam and Dean.
Yeah. That was awkward. That and Nutcracker. Because the machine worked. Yeah, no, so they were like, we did several, like, I would stand behind it, and they'd push the button, and it would go, I was like, ah! And so then I had to stand there in those ski boots, and they started out with it where it was going to end up, and so I stood.
Yeah, it had a stopping point.
Yeah, but you say that to somebody, like, don't worry, it'll stop right before it gets you. Just don't lean your hips forward. But in the whole scene, I'm talking to Dean, I'm like, so they're like, okay, so we're gonna load it, and so they put it down to the thing, and I was like, okay, I'm not going. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not moving. But then there's the whole part where they ask Jensen the question, he breaks into Japanese, and I realized that as the scene's going, I'm kind of like looking at him and then looking at the girls, and I was like, oh crap, I've moved. I don't remember where like the spot is. So that was very awkward and mortifying. I was like sweating real sweat.
I wish the cameras were on when they showed us. Like they called us a set, so we're like walk up and we're like, okay, and they're like, hey, we want to just show you what this is going to look like. And so we hit the button and it was like, wham! And both Jared and I were like, nope, no. I think Jared just walked away. He's like, nope, not gonna happen. They're like, no, it's like, it's got steel plates of reinforcement, and I'm like, yeah, what happens if it just bends a little? And Jared's like, what happens if it just bends a little?
What if you were shot in the face?
What if you were shot in the face?
Speaking of, another, herpexia was also funny. And yellow fever, the snake on the couch.
You were scared.
Yes, I took off.
It was on me.
But it goes so, it's like, I literally left. They had to like change the camera angle. I was
The
like,
size of the snake's head was bigger than my fist. Yeah, and I turned around. Here's the problem. The snake wrangler, who was laying down behind the couch,
this thing was like 180 pounds or something like that.
was a 180-pound python, and he was supposed to just gingerly feed it over
Guide
the
it
couch.
over.
Just guide it right over the couch and over my shoulder. I start hearing this like grunting going on. The snake is not cooperating with its handler, and I kind of look over the couch, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but he's doing this. And he's like trying to throw this, he's kicking it, he's like punching it, and I'm like, don't send that my way! I got 180 pounds of pissed off snake coming over there.
And the way the scene was written was Sam was supposed to be like laughing at his brother's discomfort, but I was like, this is terrifying, I'm out of here. So I just walked off.
I have this like log coming over my shoulder, and Jared just gets up like, nope. No, can't, not doing it. Meanwhile, it's like, okay, well, I can't move. Because I'm frozen in terror right now.
It was the first time I've ever just flat out refused to do something that's in the script. And I didn't think
You
I was
didn't
going
even have to do anything.
I know. But I didn't think I was going to refuse it, but I was like, nope, I'm gone. And so I walked out, and I ended up in Video Village where the director sits, and Phil looked at me and he's like, hey, you're supposed to be in there. And I was like, And I think he saw my face. And he didn't question or push me. I think he just saw it in my face and was like, okay, I guess go tie it around Jensen. So that we couldn't see that Sam was no longer sitting on the couch.
And what you didn't see, they actually cut away, but we see the snake come over my chest and kind of down, and it actually went right between my legs. And I'm not moving at this point. I'm just like, just let it do what it's gonna do. Just let it run its course, because I'm not moving. And it did. It went right and just right down, and the whole 9 feet of it. What's happening by there?
Was that for you then, the awkward things to film?
Yeah, I didn't like that. or the bees. Hey guys, we just need to make sure you're not allergic to bees, and if you get stung,
how do you do that?
And you get stung, you're not going to go in an anaphylactic shock. What? How do you do that? You're like to smear something on you? Like, actually, we're just going to take this bee and stick you with it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, it's only a 3/4 sting. And I'm not kidding. So they put this little piece of mesh on your skin, and then they hold a live bee with tweezers, and then they just stick the stinger, and it goes just through the mesh enough to get like half its stinger in you, and then they pull it out. It doesn't come off the bee, so the bee's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because now I just got stung by a bee, and I've got this welt now happening on my arm. And they're like, okay, it's been 30 minutes, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, except for this, goiter on my arm right now.
It's also funny because they've asked us to do some wacky stuff on Supernatural. Jump out of this window. Don't worry, I know you can't see, but there's going to be a pad you're going to land on 12 feet down. You're like, cool. I'm like, spin this car into a 360, and then you're fighting this guy. Ram your head through that wall. We're like, cool. They're like, we're going to sting you with a bee. We're like, no.
But then to make things worse, it's like, okay guys, time to go into set. And we walk in, all of the crew have bee outfits on. Guess what? Sam and Dean don't get to wear bee outfits. They're in regular clothing. And then the bee wrangler,
The day of shooting.
on the day of shooting, I'm like, how many are we talking here? Like a couple hundred? He's like, there's actually 60,000. I'm like,
But don't
okay,
worry, they're
I'm now
drone
going
bees.
into anaphylactic shock.
They're drone bees. They're not going to sting you
Yeah,
unless you piss them off.
bees, as long as you stay calm, they're calm, and I'm like, okay, stay calm. Wait a minute, when they yell action, I have a blowtorch.
Yeah. And we're supposed to be
Are they gonna be
swatting
cool
the
with
air.
that? And he goes, oh.
And then we're like, well, what about, so you're going to release 60,000 bees, but then we're going to have to go back to the beginning of the scene where there were no bees for like take 2 and take 3 and different camera angles. He's like, yeah, we're going to vacuum them up. I was like, doesn't that piss him off? He's like, only if we do it a bunch of times. So, a bunch like, 20 or 30. He's like, yeah, if we do it like 3 or 4 times, they're going to be a little angry. We're like, we're going to do it like 12, 15 times.
Needless to say, we got stung. I remember just before Kim, our director, just before he yelled action, they were like, okay, roll sound, and I mean, they're all over the place. Roll sound, okay, and then the camera system comes up, he's like, okay, 34 Baker, take 2. They have a marker, they run off, and I'm like kind of crouched down, and I'm like kind of flicking bees, they're on me, just landing on me, and I'm like, oh my God, find a happy place. And they're like, okay, ready, and just before he yelled action, boom! One had gone right up my shirt and got me right on the upper part of my seat.
Took us.
And he was like, ready, and I was like, wait! And I reached back there and actually pulled the stinger out. I was like, okay! And then the worst part about it, the bees didn't read on film, so they ended up making it with CGI anyway. Good old days.
Thank you for asking.
I never get tired of telling that story. Thanks.